The SEC scores a big win, winning its motion to compel for Ripple to produce its 2022 and 2023 financial statements. What does this mean for settlement, the penalty Ripple will have to pay, and for future ODL sales? And Ethereum is getting a huge partnership here with GoDaddy, with Ethereum name services being connected with GoDaddy domains. This is a huge partnership. And Gary Gensler today stated that the 1934 Securities Exchange Act can be updated. What does this mean for crypto? We're going to break this down and much more. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. It supports the podcast and it doesn't cost you anything. Well, folks, we got big news around Ethereum. ENS, or the Ethereum naming service, collaborates with GoDaddy to link web domains with blockchain names. So, folks, needless to say, this is a huge partnership that could help with the adoption of crypto overall. We've often talked about making crypto easy for the next billion users to access, where they don't have to go through a lot of tedious steps. They don't have to go through a lot of the technical setup that the early adopters had to, because not everyone is tech savvy, and that they can easily integrate into their existing services and services they are familiar with. Kind of like what the Bitcoin ETFs are doing, right? They're taking this crypto asset and putting it in a wrapper that the mainstream public is very familiar with and trust, and under the umbrella of trusted brands like BlackRock, Fidelity, and so forth. So the fact that these Ethereum wallet naming services can be tied into GoDaddy, which has tons of customers and people use it for website hosting and buying domains, is pretty significant. So let me give you the details. Ethereum naming service has partnered with domain registrar GoDaddy to allow users to link their domain names to ENS, aiming to connect with the DNS protocol used by all traditional websites with the blockchain-based names. The collaboration will bridge the gap between traditional DNS and blockchain technology with no additional costs or technical expertise required for users. That's key. No additional costs and no additional technical expertise required. That is what's key for adoption, folks, or some of the factors that are key for adoption. Linking DNS with ENS will provide over 20 million GoDaddy users with access to the benefits of ENS blockchain infrastructure, such as receiving crypto payments. ENS is the most widely used naming protocol in crypto. It lets users associate human-readable names like bob.eth with long and complex Ethereum addresses, mirroring DNS functionality in website URLs. So these ENS names kind of serve as a email address, but has wallet functionality and much more. So you can say, hey, send me X amount of crypto to Tony.eth or whatever you want. And it's that simple. You can do that without having to give them an incredibly long wallet address and going through the process of trying to copy that long address and sending it to them and going through that whole tedious process where you can mess up the wallet address and so forth. But you can just simply say, go to thinkingcrypto.eth or Tony.eth and send it, right? So it makes things less complicated. It just improves the user interaction and user interface. GoDaddy noted that the collaboration will allow users to connect their domains, such as a .com, to their ENS-compatible crypto wallet. They said crypto payments have never been easier to receive. Folks, huge partnership. And you can expect other domain providers will do the same if GoDaddy, being the big whale in the domain market, is doing this. So this is a step in the right direction for crypto adoption. Now let's move ahead. We got big news on the SEC Ripple lawsuit. Now, we've been talking about this for a long time, for years. I've had John Deaton and many different lawyers on, and we know that Ripple took the lion's share of Judge Torres's ruling, where XRP was relisted on exchanges and that secondary market sales were not securities. Exchanges that sell XRP are not securities. However, the SEC did win on institutional sales. Ripple sales directly to institutions, I believe around ODL, where there is a contract, right? And you can take, for example, the MoneyGram partnership they had. So the SEC won that. Well, the SEC has won its motion to compel Ripple to produce its 2022 and 2023 financial statements, post-complaint contracts governing institutional sales of XRP, and answer questions regarding the amount of XRP institutional sales proceeds it received. Now, I think this is part of the SEC trying to get as much of the fine that Ripple will have to pay. And I've been saying it for a long time since they got sued, that Ripple would win this, but they will have to pay a penalty. And this will be for like past sales and so forth. So I think they end up paying some sort of fine here. You know, they're going back and forth. This is a battle that's heating up. It's not slowing down because the SEC does not want to lose. They've lost a big part of this case, but they want to win the entire thing, and they want to grab as much of the fines that they can get. And if they can squeeze in another win, they will try to do it. Gary's not going to lay down. So this thing is still playing out. And my hope is, though, that it wraps up this year. I'm kind of tired of it, right? It's like this thing that keeps popping up. It's so annoying, but you know, I've often stated we need Ripple to win, we need Coinbase to win, we need Kraken to win, because the SEC is out of control. We see they don't follow the law. Just look what happened with the debt box situation, where the judge threatened to sanction the SEC lawyers because they lied, right? They have no allegiance to the law, as Judge Sarah Netburn said. So the SEC got this. We'll see what they actually do with it. The question I have, though, and I don't have the details, you know, not all of this data is public, but how much of Ripple's ODL sales are outside the US? And does that play a factor? Because if it's outside the US, is it still under the SEC's jurisdiction? I don't know. And I'm going to ask a lawyer tomorrow, Meta Lawman. I'm going to be interviewing him and get his thoughts and see what he has to say. Now, something is interesting. Gary Gensler tweeted out today, tune in to the SEC's open meeting. He says, where we'll consider adopting new rules to further define the phrase as part of a regular business, as used in the statutory definitions of the terms dealer and government securities dealer under the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. Now, key wording here, he said, where we'll consider adopting new rules. Wait a minute, Gary, you mean these rules can be changed? So I tweeted out not too long ago, you don't say, Gary. You mean the rules can be updated? I guess that means the Howey test should be updated for decentralized blockchains, which have tokens distributed globally. Right, Gary? So, guys, we're not in 1934 anymore. In no way did the folks back then could dream up blockchains, decentralized networks that are distributed globally, tokens distributed globally. And here in the United States, we're dealing with the corrupt SEC and Gary Gensler. And just across the pond and in other major countries, these tokens are considered virtual currencies. And here Gary's trying to put them under the securities blanket. Pretty incredible stuff that's happening. But the fact that Gary's putting this language out there shows he's a hypocrite, because he's been saying, oh, we don't need to update the laws. They're pretty clear, you know, blah, blah, blah. And yet for other things related to that same law, he's trying to say, oh, yeah, we could take a look and see, maybe we need to change the rules, right? All right, moving ahead, Eleanor Terrett of Fox Business highlighted the following. She said, Bitcoin spot ETF issuer WisdomTree Funds is closely working with the NYDFS to offer crypto-related products and services to customers in New York. Sources say NYDFS is very close to approving a limited purpose trust charter for WisdomTree, which means it will be able to conduct digital asset business in the New York State. Only 9 firms have limited purpose trust charters for crypto, including Coinbase, Fidelity, and some others. So we see the continued building, the continued expansion from big firms around crypto. WisdomTree, of course, has a Bitcoin ETF. And it just makes me bullish. They're not slowing down. Everything is heating up. Everybody's trying to grab as much market share as possible. And they know what's coming. Guys, we are still relatively early in the adoption curve because we haven't reached billions yet. We have millions of people in crypto, but we haven't reached billions yet. And if you compare this to like technologies like the internet and much more, still relatively early. But that's where I think this cycle, it is a catalyst that jumpstarts us to a next level with the ETFs because it brings in people who would have people who would not come to this because they're not tech savvy, you're scared of it, right? But it comes in a wrapper, as mentioned earlier, of an ETF that makes it digestible for them, familiar to them, something that makes that they trust. So, I think the next cycle is going to be I think we can cross over a billion, but right now we're in the millions. Now, speaking with the SEC, as you all know, SAB 121, or some will call it SAB 121, which is had a lot of problems with the SEC, where the Government Accountability Office called it out. And we saw that Representative Mike Flood and a bunch of other folks in Congress and in the Senate are looking to repeal this bulletin. And apparently the House Financial Services Committee agenda tomorrow with Treasury Secretary Yellen, there's going to be a joint resolution signed by U.S. Mike Flood is on the hearing page. So this is going to be something that's going to be brought up. So we'll see how this goes. Now, quick word from our sponsor, and that is Uphold. Uphold is a great platform. I've been using it since 2018. You could buy Bitcoin and all the top altcoins. Folks, you can also trade precious metals on here. They have gold, silver, palladium, platinum. They have a lot of national currencies. They have stable coins as well. And folks, they're available in over 150 countries. I've interviewed the CEO, the CFO, and many representatives over the years. And best of all, folks, they are fully reserved. They have transparency reports that you can go view and verify for yourself. They don't commingle. They don't lend your funds out. So you can trust your funds are safe. I always recommend self-custody. That's what I do. But if you were to buy an Uphold and then later on transfer, that's fine because they are a trusted exchange and platform. If you'd like to learn more about them, please check out the link in the description. Now, folks, speaking of Janet Yellen, tomorrow she's going to be testifying as stated. And one of the things she has on her agenda and is being reported, she's going to warn about the risks of crypto. It's so funny, right? Because they put out these narratives and she's going to warn the House lawmakers about crypto hazards to the financial stability. Yet, as I'm sure many of you saw, the clips of Jerome Powell, chair of the Fed, on 60 Minutes talking about he's worried about the debt, the growing debt, and it's unsustainable and what's going to happen in the future. So it's not Janet and the Fed printing money nonstop and driving the debt to record highs and all the other problems we have, which inflation, which is caused by, the money policy and so forth. It's crypto, folks. Crypto is the financial hazard. It's not that you can't afford a house and rates are crazy and all these things that are happening. It's crypto. These people. But look, I use Yellen as almost a contrarian indicator. It's kind of like Jamie Dimon. When they are bearish and they're spreading FUD, that makes me more bullish because we've seen this story time and time again, right? They can't help themselves. They are part of the legacy money printing machine fiat system. And then that's all they know. And they will keep doing it and doing it. And they're just thinking about their time here, not future generations and what they're doing to the money. And look, when they come out bearish and start spreading FUD, it gets me so bullish. It means bull run is around, right? Money's to be made. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow. Folks, quick update here. As you all know, I'm interviewing, well, I did interview Aaron Kaplan of Prometheum today. I was planning to publish that interview tomorrow, but it got pushed back to Wednesday because they're trying to time this with some news of a regulatory approval. I'm not saying I'm a big fan of Aaron. I just want him on the podcast to ask him questions. And boy, did I ask him some questions. I asked him, what's your connection to the SEC? Are they doing some backroom deals with you? There's been a lot of reports of you guys connected to the CCP. We went through all that. Asked them, are you guys going to list XRP and all? You don't want to miss this interview. We cover a lot. And we know, look, I've often talked about it where I think, I don't know what's going on with Prometheum and how they get all these things from the SEC. Something seems fishy, but it is what it is, and this is why we got to keep fighting to keep Gary Gensler accountable and the SEC accountable. But you don't want to miss this interview. It's going to be live on Wednesday. And folks, a great way to support the podcast, it's 100% free, is to sign up for my free email newsletter on Substack. Also follow me on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter X, folks. It doesn't take $1 out of your pocket. It just supports the podcast if you follow and subscribe. Thank you. Thank you for watching and listening, and I'll talk to you all later.